Welcome back, listeners, to a brand new episode of The New Standard. What's up, my guy, Double H? Thank you for chiming in. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. Got a lot of things going on. Before we jump into the program, though, I want to dedicate this show to my middle daughter, Amiel Rebecca Williams, who will be graduating from Smith College this weekend with a degree in psychology and film. So I want to dedicate this show to her and give her major props. And in fact, she got a 4.0 this last semester. And I think her overall GPA is above a 3.7. So big up to her for going to Smith in Massachusetts and handling her business and getting busy and doing the damn thing. So I want to dedicate this show to her and her getting busy, and we're headed there this weekend, so we're going to have a fantastic time. So if you guys can show her some love on the show, give her a shout out for getting busy and doing the damn thing. And so hopefully the Steelers will follow her lead and do the damn thing. And as you can see on the program, if you can see on the screen, I got a new X handle, a new Twitter handle, and we're going with L Williams underscore TNS, the new standard, L Williams underscore TNS. Yeah, the girl got big brains. She takes after me, but she's a better version of me, calmer, gentler, more sensitive, more empathetic, nicer, smarter, better looking, all those good things. And so we are immensely proud. Her family is very proud of her. All the strong women in her line, on all sides of her family. We are all proud of her, and she has done the damn thing. And so hopefully the Steelers can do the damn thing, and y'all could do the damn thing too by showing me some love and by hitting that like and subscribe program. Big up to everybody out there. So if you want to participate in the show, go to YouTube and do a search for The New Standard and like and subscribe to the program. If you get us via however you get your podcast, make sure you do a search for The New Standard, Lance Williams and Neil Coulon. Neil Coulon currently, right now, is doing the algorithm. He was doing the algorithm last night to get the schedule together. And so that's why Neil is not in the building. But I will say this. Some people love the draft. I love the schedule reveal. And the reason I love the schedule reveal is I can be hella wrong and nobody cares. And nobody remembers. Like, you could be hella wrong and nobody cares about the receipts. That's why I love the schedule. But typically, me and Neil pretty much predict those guys to be around 11-6, 10-7, the Magic Tomlin status. But before we jump into the schedule breakdown, I want to get you guys' thoughts on the Christmas game being televised. And let me just make sure here, the Christmas game being televised on Netflix. I don't really care. I don't really give a good goddamn either way, because I'm not going to tell you my little secret of how I consume football. But I just want to say this to y'all. Y'all might want to figure out an alternative to to get the games. To get the games. And Richard Krikorian chimed in and said, I remember when you're wrong, Lance. I care. Yes, keep me accountable, Richard, because I've picked every game correct and I've never got a game wrong. And I'm going to pick the Steelers to go 17-0, but no, I'm not. But before we jump into the breakdown of the season schedule, it's being reported that Cam Hayward is going to sit out of OTAs, that he's not going to show up. So we all know what's going to happen. He's going to sit in. What's going to happen is they're going to pull up the lawn chair, OTAs, training camp. he's going to sit in and he's not going to get fined at all. Because from my perspective, if Cam Hayward has to fight for a contract, and right now, let me give you the contract details of Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward right now is going into the last year of his deal. He's got a base salary of $16 million, prorated signing bonus of 6.4. His cap hit is 22.4. That is a lot. And I understand why the Steelers don't necessarily want to allocate 22.4 million in cap space to a player that is 35 years of age and had an up and down year last year and dealt with injury. I understand that it is a business and it ain't my money and it is a business. So I understand that. And I understand on both sides that at this point in his career at 35, I mean, hell, he don't want to go nowhere else. He's Mr. Steeler. He wants to end his career as a Steeler, as one of the greatest Steelers defensive linemen in history. Probably a top 5 Steeler defensive lineman. And actually, I'd love for you guys to comment on that question and put that in the chat. Do you think Cam Hayward is a top 5 all-time Steeler defensive lineman? I do off the top of my head. And so at this point, he's Mr. Steeler. They need to do right by Mr. Steeler. So if I'm him, I'm like, damn, come on, Mr. Brony. Last thing I need is OTAs. I know how to get in shape. I know how to play football. I am a leader on the team. I am accountable. I understand the Steelers side. We don't want to pay you that much. So how about this? Throw some dead years at the end. Give him another year. Somehow you can void the last couple of years of the contract. Let him get the lawn chair back out, play some quality football. He ended his career in 2025. He played 2 more seasons. This year and next year, end his career as a Steeler. Let's get her done. Because, I mean, if you can't take care of the face, I mean, what you going to take care of? I mean, if you can't put lotion on your face, do I trust you to put lotion on your kneecaps? I mean, honestly, if you can't put lotion on your face, do I trust you to put lotion on your kneecaps? But let me jump into this comment from Rich. And Rich said, yes, but his contract limits him being an asset, in my opinion. Sometimes it's bigger than that, unfortunately. And you could have made a very good argument that Ben Roethlisberger shouldn't have gotten extended. You can make a good argument that Cam Hayward should get extended. However, he's still, in my opinion, their best defensive lineman. And sometimes you have to just do right by your guys and by your people. It has to be bigger than football. At the end of the day, if I give you 15 years of my life, it has to be bigger than that. And Jeremiah Yoder, I agree with you. Cam Hayward is absolutely a top 5 Steelers defensive lineman. You've got to take care of guys like that. Because I think if you don't take care of guys like that, it says something bad about your organization. And the other thing is, folks talk. And, you know, who wants to come to an organization that doesn't treat Mr. Steeler, Walter Payton, Man of the Year, Cam Hayward, like a grown-ass man and just give him some money on his way out? It just is what it is. Pay the man, figure the shit out, and we will see Cam Hayward definitely as a Pittsburgh Steeler to end his career. You can put the money on that, put the bank on that. But let's jump into the schedule. And I love the schedule. And we're going to start picking it. So one thing I want to do is, you know, so you guys can hold me accountable and I hold myself accountable. I'm going to mark down the wins and losses. So if there's somebody listening to the show, please keep a tally. Please keep a tally for your boy. Keep a tally. But I'm gonna just do a tally real quick and just go through it like this. And when I look at the schedule, primarily I pick the differences of games, particularly in close games. It's quarterback play. And so part of your schedule, in my opinion, is your quarterback against their quarterback. Like, I hate to make it that simple, but when your quarterback has the ball in his hands damn near every offensive play to start the play, I mean, your quarterback play is going to be essential. Steelers go into the year, I mean, we just got to admit it. I mean, they go into the year with a new quarterback, new coordinator, Offensive line is not in shambles, but it's reconstructed. So they got some issues on the offensive side of football. You look at their wide receiver room. Hey, they I might want to raise my hand. If you want a fat 54-year-old to come play wide receiver and catch curls from 3 yards out, baby, I could hit you with a curl, boom, and get you about 5 yards. Maybe you need me. So if that's the case, there's a lot of questions with this Steeler offense, and they play in a division that is very difficult. And according to a lot of websites, their schedule is considered one of the most difficult. But it's always hard when you look at schedule difficulty. And I think I'm going to do my own separate show on that, because there's a variety of ways that you can do schedule difficulty. A lot of it is based on how difficult your opponents were from last year. And so because of that, and because the North was so competitive, their strength of schedule, is about third. And like Double H said, if it makes you feel any better, the entire AFC North has to run the gauntlet, not just the Steelers. Success will be relative. And the Steelers, for the most part, you can kind of almost set the clock to it. They'll win 4 divisional games. I mean, you can set the clock to it. They may not continue to sweep the Ravens, but they'll win 4 divisional games. So let's jump into this. Game 1 and Game 2 is against Atlanta and Denver on the road. Let me just say this. Cats got short memories. And you know whose memory is about as short as a leprechaun going into those 2 games? Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson. And speaking of Russell Wilson, his former coach, and again, you're listening to the New Standard All Too Early 2024 seasonal predictions. His former coach basically said he was too dumb to call the plays. According to, we know her name. I don't want to pronounce her name on the show. But according to reports, they had to dumb down the offense because Russ was dumb. I'm going to say this. As a black man in America, when you get called dumb and non-intelligent and that you can't function from a cognitive standpoint, it lights a fire under you. Russell Wilson, if that's the last game he plays in his life, he going to do whatever he can do to beat Denver. So that's a dub. Same thing with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith's going to be like, look, man, shit, I would have won games if you gave me Kirk Cousins. But you gave me Desmond Ridder. I can't scheme up Desmond Ridder. Come on, man. Though that's 2 wins. 2-0. That's the revenge tour. The tap that ass tour starts with those 2 games. And that's the theme of the 2024 season. The tap that ass season. And it starts right there. Game 3, the season home opener against the Los Angeles Chargers. Well, their name should be San Diego, and that's part of the reason why I'm going with the Steelers in this one. But, this is a tough matchup. But I'm going to go with the Steelers to start the season 3-0. I don't like West Coast teams traveling east and playing that early game. And I think the Steelers punch the Chargers in the mouth. I think Russell Wilson has some intel on the Chargers. We're playing against them last year in the AFC West. So I like the Steelers to start out hot, 3-0. Then the Steelers go back out on the road, which is tough. 3 of your first 4 games is road games. They go back out on the road to play Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. And when I think games are, because I like that staff. I think they do a lot of good things offensively. I think Richardson is a playmaker, very inexperienced. I'm going to go with Tomlin scheming against a young QB and getting that win. I like the Steelers to start the year red hot as a firecracker, 4-0. And you're absolutely right, Blackjack Novak. And that's a dope name, Blackjack Novak. Blackjack Novak. Black. That could be a single. Hey, Blackjack, man, are you an MC? MC Blackjack Novak. And I think he's right. Denver's coach will have a hit out for Russ, but Russ gonna have a hit out for him too. And so best believe Russ wants some get back in that game. He called him a dumbass. Well, I can't say the rest of it, but that's what he called him. Russ wants some get back, some definite get back, because he tried to slander his reputation, and Russ ain't having it. And Russ is gonna do what Russ do. He gonna cook in that game. So the next game after that, the Steelers play Dallas on the road. I think in a Sunday primetime game, they gonna get waxed. They gonna get waxed. It's a nice recall to the past, classic game. I would love for the NFL to do something funky with the game by going with old school logos, block jerseys, like make everything look like the 70s matchups between both teams, where all the, even the stands look like it, and the camera stuff and everything, dress it all up, make you think like it was the 70s, to watch the Steelers get their ass whooped. Because the Steelers going to get their ass whooped in that one. I think they're not going to beat Dallas. And I think there's too much of a chasm and a difference between the quarterbacks, because I think Dak is a much better player than Russell. Following week, the Steelers play another old school rival in the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. Hey, man, if the Steelers can't beat Gardner Minshew, then they was playing craps the whole night in Vegas and couldn't get busy. I think they get busy. They beat Gardner Minshew and they get that dub. So I got the Steelers in the first 5 games going a nice 5-1. And if they go 5-1 to start the year, I got a feeling. I got a feeling, brother. And I think you guys should hit the like and subscribe button to the new standard, the all too early 2024 seasonal predictions. So after that game, they play A-Rod at home. I think they get diced up. I think, and the thing about that game is, I think the Jets could possibly have the best defense in the AFC. And regardless of what state Rodgers is, I think Rodgers knows the game well enough. He also knows conspiracy theories. He is a Cal football guy, a grad like me, although he is crazy. Spent time in the dark to get his mind right, whatever that was. He just needed to spend time in the dark to turn on a light. They're going to beat the Steelers up. Jets are tough up front with Williams and those guys. Defensively, Salah's got them playing really good football. I think they're going to beat the Steelers up. But in the next week, in the family feud, the Rooneys versus the Maras, because they're basically just all one big happy family, as you have, people that are Maras that married Rooneys and they had kids, and it's Grandpa Rooney and Grandpa Mara, and they're one big happy billionaire family. They're gonna beat the snot out of the snot out of the Giants. You talk about Daniel Jones, quarterback, horrible. They beat up the Giants in a primetime game. Get a bye week 9. A little bit early, but I'm not one of those bye conspiracist people that have conspiracies about, the bye was too early. I'm not a bye mathematician, I'm not one of those guys. But I do think they beat up on the rookie, Jaden Daniels, and they hammer him, and they get the dub in Washington. First game of the year at home against Baltimore. I think they lose that game. I think Baltimore is absolutely tired of losing to the Steelers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Steelers have beaten Baltimore 6 times in a row. I think Baltimore gets it done. After that, wow, and this is a tough stretch. You got Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland. You got 4 divisional games back to back. I am not a schedule historian, but I can't remember too many years. If anybody out there listens to the program, I can't think of too many years where the Steelers played 4 divisional games in a row. That is a tough stretch. That is an absolute tough stretch. But I think they get it done at Cleveland after coming off that loss. I like them to win that game. And let's see, where do we have them now? Because I had them losing to Baltimore. I got them beating Cleveland. So at this point in the season, going into the 11th game, I got the Steelers at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got the Steelers at a nice, crispy 8-3, baby. How good would you feel if the Steelers start the year 8-3? How does it feel like D'Angelo? You know what I'm saying? But, I don't want to go more into that song. But after that game, they have the first game at Cincinnati. And that's tough, man. They got Washington, Cincinnati, Cleveland all on the road. I think they dropped that Cincinnati game. I think the gap in the quarterback play is just too big. And I think they come back the next week and they beat Cleveland. They beat Touchy McFeely. And they beat Cleveland. However, I think they lose back-to-back games against Philly and against Baltimore. That's a tough stretch. And that last 4 games, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincy, that's real tough. I think the best you could ask for in that stretch is to split. But I think they drop 3 late because they also lose that Christmas game against Kansas City, and they come back and they beat on January 5th. They beat the Bengals. So I have them going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have them going 10-7 and getting another 7 seed, and we'll be doing the same thing that we did last year. And, the question when you look at these schedules is, Tomlin can always pull out a Tomlin win out of his ass. And they always can lose to a team that they probably shouldn't lose to. But I think this schedule, the back half of the schedule after the bye is tough. I mean, when you're talking Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincy, Cleveland, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati, I mean, that's a murderer's row. That is a murderer's row back to back to back. And they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's. I'm not sure how many new offensive players they have, but it's probably about 5. I'm going to count about 5 new. You can have about 5 new offensive starters. I suspect they're going to have 2. They'll probably have 2 up front and 2 receivers. So it'll be 4, maybe 5. 3 of their top 4 receivers may be new, and you have 2 new offensive linemen. I think it's really tough, man. That Baltimore, Kansas City at Baltimore and back to back. I mean, it's going to be lovely to see the city lit up for Christmas, but they going to get lit up by Patty and the Christmas tree. Patty going to light their ass up. Let me jump into this message from Steeler Y360 Nation. The Ravens and Steelers schedule is brutal. The NFL did them dirty. The Steelers will be lucky to win 9 games. Week 11 through 17 is brutal. Only one team from the AFC North goes to the playoffs. I'm not going to disagree that the schedule is brutal. I got them at 10 wins, Steeler Y360. I got them at 10-7. You would have them at 9-8. But I agree with you. And let's tell you again what 11 through 17 is. That's Baltimore at home, at Cleveland, at Cincinnati, play at home against Cleveland, at Philly, at Baltimore, KC at home, and then Cincinnati at home. The only thing that makes it somewhat less brutal is the last 2 games of the year at home. But the schedule is brutal. But I don't believe in the Cleveland Browns. I don't believe in the Cleveland Browns. They won't get it done. Let me jump into this comment from Allie Howard Species. Coach LeBeau said every rookie you start equals 1 loss. Yikes. That is a great quote. And they're starting a few rookies. Unfortunately for them, when they didn't start rookies, they still got losses. But let me jump into this question from Double H. Double H said, "No wonder why we scooped up all the wide receiver three casts off. Will be so many injured by the end of the season. Definitely will need to pick up another wide receiver and cornerback for sure. It's an arms race. Actually, Double H, it's a QB race. The biggest question for me that I have for the Steelers going into the season is, they got a lot of change. They got a lot of flux on the offensive side of football. New coordinator. It's going to be a really new offensive line piece together. You've got some suspect weapons in the wide receiver room. You've got a quarterback in Russell Wilson that I'm not all that confident in, and a Justin Fields that was jettisoned away. So I still need to see something, but it doesn't matter right now. It doesn't matter. It's May 15th. We're months away from the schedule, and I'm going to let my positivity shine. I'm going to let it shine. I'm going to shine bright. I'm happy. I'm a blissful, happy dad that his daughter is graduating from college, so I'm going to let it shine, and that's why I'm saying 10-7. Probably thinking it's 11-6. Tomlin gets a heroic win somewhere. They continue to confuse Lamar Jackson, and they win 2 games against Baltimore. Let me jump into this last comment here from Jeremiah Yoder. I don't believe in the Cleveland Clown Show either. Of course, bleeding black and gold since 1975. I have never believed in the Cleveland Clown Show. You're right, because I've been bleeding black and gold since 1970. I'm North Side as it gets. I'm from Manchester. And, hey, we used to wear T-shirts. I don't care if we only win 2 games, but they better be against Cleveland. That's how I grew up. That's how I grew up. It said we need nihilism to counter your optimism. I mean, I'm not too optimistic. I did pick 10-7. I mean, when the last time a 10-7 team won a Super Bowl? I mean, I did pick 10-7. I mean, that's my optimism. My optimism is 10-7. My man Jeff Hartman, his optimism is 17-0. I'm not picking 17-0. I am picking 10-7. But with that, we are going to conclude the program. Hey, man, in the chat, hit us with a like and subscribe. Take your time, look at the schedule in the chat. Hit us with what your final predictions are. What are you predicting? Are the Steelers a 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed, 6 seed, 7 seed, no seed? What are the Steelers going to be in the 2024-25 season? And with that, we're going to conclude the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe.